What's up guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're doing something that I thought would be a little bit fun. We will be doing what if Ash's journey was randomized. For those of you guys who have played randomized Pokemon games, it's basically that. Every encounter will be different, so instead of Ash encountering Bulbasaur, he could encounter a Skarmory instead. I only have 4 rules for this what if. The first one is that almost all 905 Pokemon are fair game. This means the game can run into a Corviknight in Hoenn, or Alolan Ninetales in Kanto. The second rule is that there's no Mythical/Legendaries until Hoenn. This is mainly because in the first 2 generations, and a little bit of the 3rd generation, Legendaries and Mysticals were really seen as uncatchable by normal means. But then Brandon came along and caught the 3 Reggies, so as soon as we get to Hoenn, all is fair game. The third rule is that the starters will remain locked. By this I mean that the Pokemon that gets randomized has to be a water Pokemon, and that Pokemon has to remain the same for all trainers. For example, instead of Ash getting Squirtle, he gets like a Politoed or something. This means that every trainer that uses the Squirtle line would have to use a variation of Poliwag. And finally, all gym leaders will remain type locked. This means characters like Serena could have a Mr. Rime or a Hatterene. And with that long explanation out of the way, we can finally get on to the video. Our story begins much like it did in the original timeline, meaning that Ash oversleeps and doesn't get to choose his starter from the 3 that Oak chose. However, through some begging, Professor Oak tells him that he has 1 more Pokemon, but it's very unusual. Ash pleads with him, saying that he'll take anything at this point, so Oak reveals a 4th Pokeball that Ash picks up, and out of the Pokeball comes a Larvitar. Ash kneels down to introduce himself, however, a Larvitar bites him on the head. As he is trying to pull it off, Oak explains that Larvitar has had some trouble connecting with others and has a bit of a mean streak to it. He then gives the young boy some Pokeballs and a Pokédex, at which point Larvitar lets go of Ash and bites onto Oak. When they go outside, Ash sees his mom and some town folks there to see him off. Dahlia asks why isn't Larvitar in its ball, and Ash tries to recall it, however the Pokemon refuses to go back inside. Dahlia then says that's a little weird, and Larvitar doesn't really seem to like this, and it uses Outrage. This scares everybody except Dahlia off, as she wishes Ash good luck on his journey before leaving. Ash ties the clothesline that he was given around Larvitar like a leash and drags him along. He eventually tries to reason with Larvitar by removing the leash, but it just sits under a tree and pouts. Just then the 2 hear footsteps behind them, and instead of a Pidgey, they see a Swalot. It's eating a ton of food, and Ash thinks this is the perfect time to catch himself a Pokemon. And after Larvitar refuses to battle, Ash decides to just chuck a Pokeball, but Swalot turns around in time and eats the fucking Pokeball. It then uses Smog to cover itself and pick up its food and leave. This is when Dexter tells him that he has to weaken it before catching it. Just then, Ash hears something going through his backpack and sees a Budew. Ash tries chasing it away, however, as the Budew is running, it trips and falls. The grass-type Pokemon then starts crying, and Ash decides to take advantage of this by throwing a Pokeball. After a few shakes, the catch is confirmed, meaning Ash has caught his first Pokemon way earlier than in canon. This fills Ash's pride to the max, so he looks for another Pokemon to catch when he spots a Golisopod just minding its own business. Ash sends out his Budew, who tries to use Razor Leaf, but it doesn't do much, it just pisses off Golisopod. It uses a Mud Shot that barely misses Budew, and causes it to hide behind Ash. After a second Mud Shot nearly hits Ash, he realizes that he's in a lot of trouble, so he picks up Budew and starts running away. Meanwhile, Larvitar is laughing as it watches Ash dodge Mud Shots and Pin Missiles. It doesn't take long for Golisopod to notice it, and in a fit of rage uses a Water Pulse that sends Larvitar through the tree. Ash, seeing that really hurt Larvitar as it's struggling to get up, grabs it and starts to run away. Ash eventually comes across a river, and because he doesn't know that Golisopod is part water, he decides to jump in. While he's being swept away by the current, Golisopod jumps in after them and actually starts to catch up. As Golisopod is about to get them, at the last minute they're pulled out of the water by a girl and her fishing rod. Ash thanks her for saving his life before taking her bike and getting the hell out of there. When Ash looks back, he sees Golisopod using Aqua Jet to catch up with them. Eventually it manages to crash into them, not only destroying the girl's bike, but hurting Ash and his mons in the process. As the Golisopod stands over Ash, Larvitar bites into its arm, trying to get it away from the others. Larvitar is surprisingly able to hold on for quite a bit, before Golisopod shakes it off. Golisopod then decides to actually go hurt Larvitar first, but as it's ready to do that, it gets hit by a Razor Leaf, and when it turns around, Golisopod sees Budew, shaking with tears in its eyes. Despite being scared, it keeps throwing out Razor Leaf after Razor Leaf, trying to get it away from the others. Unfortunately, all it takes is 2 direct mud shots before Budew is out for the count. Ash takes this opportunity to recall it and he grabs Larvitar, handing it Budew's Pokeball. He tells Larvitar that he knows it won't go back into its Pokeball, so he wants it to run away while he buys some time. Ash then begins to yell at the bug Pokemon, calling it stupid and other names, and Golisopod rushes at him with an Aqua Jet. As it approached, Larvitar decides to jump in front of Ash, getting ready to counter with an Outrage. However, just as the 2 Pokemon are about to clash, a bolt of lightning comes down and strikes both of them. It's revealed that Golisopod has fainted, however Larvitar is just a little paralyzed, but other than that, it's fine. Ash hugs Larvitar, thanking it for saving his life, before they start walking off to get healed somewhere. Eventually they do get to Viridian City, where Ash is taken to the Pokemon Center by Officer Jenny, and things line up with canon. Ash calls his mom and Professor Oak, and then Misty shows up saying that he broke her bike and has to get her a new one. 2 Pokeballs then come crashing through the ceiling glass and let out a Wimpod and Vanillite. They use Mist and Sand Attack to create a sort of smokescreen, and thus Team Rocket is introduced. But wait, all Pokemon are randomized, meaning that Meowth is no longer a Meowth. It's a Electric. Things don't change much from here until it's Missy's time to show off her first Pokemon. Instead of a useless ass Goldeen, she gets a fucking Froakie. This means she actually fights back against Team Rocket this time. With a combined strength of Froakie, Larvitar, Budew, and a shit ton of Emolga that power this Pokemon Center, they send Team Rocket packing. And early that morning, Ash and Misty go to the Viridian Forest. This time around, instead of a Caterpie, Misty points out a Yanma. Unfortunately for Ash, it's too fast for him to catch, meaning that they just continue on their journey. The next morning, they come across a wild Delibird who gives them all food from its tail pouch thingy. After finishing his food, Ash, being kinda rash, challenges it to a battle, to which Delibird accepts, and Ash sends out Budew. Which isn't such a great idea, as Delibird knocks it out with 2 triple axles. However, on the last kick, Delibird activates Budew's ability, Poison Point. Ash then brings out Larvitar, who takes quite the beating, but thanks to Poison, it's able to somewhat fight back. As Delibird goes to finish off Larvitar, Ash decides to throw a Pokeball at Delibird, stopping it from hitting Larvitar. And although the Pokeball shakes pretty violently, Delibird does not escape. With the help of Dexter, they're able to find a Pecha Berry in Delibird's tail to cure the poison. Team Rocket then shows up to be annoying, but they quickly get dispatched of before they run into Samurai. He goads Ash into a battle, and they begin with Delibird and Butterfree. Unlike in the original, Ash actually sweeps through Samurai's whole team, as his other Pokemon is a Shelmet, so I don't think he would have too much trouble here. Our duo then make it to the edge of Pewter City, where they meet Flint, who guides them to the nearest Pokemon Center. Ash then learns about the Pokemon League and the gym challenge, so upon hearing that there is a gym in this town, he wants to go challenge them. Misty jokingly says that Ash probably won't get one no matter how hard he tries, and Ash very confidently states that he could probably earn it faster than anybody else, including her, while he was blindfolded. When they arrive at the pewter gym, Brock accepts Ash's challenge and they begin with Boulder vs Larvitar. Despite Larvitar being one of Ash's strongest mons, it gets pinned by Boulder really quickly. So he decides to surrender the match as he doesn't want to see Larvitar get too hurt. And this prompts some teasing from Misty. As he is holding Larvitar, he responds to her like, if you could do any better. And this touches a nerve with Misty, who decides to show him up by challenging Brock to a battle. After Brock reaffirms with Boulder that it could still fight, he accepts her challenge. Just using Froakie, she's able to take down Brock's whole rock themed Pokemon. She then turns around ready to gloat about her victory, however Ash is already gone. Outside, Ash is walking around thinking about the battle when he walks into Flint. He brings Ash to his home where over some tea they discuss what happened at the gym. Flint suggests that Ash should focus on using super effective types against Brock's rock types. Ash, still being a newbie, has no idea what Flint is talking about. So Flint has Ash show him his team and explain who is super effective against what, but Ash is still confused by it. Flint, a little irritated, tells him that if he has a Pokédex, he can just use that to remind him. Anyways, he explains that Budew and Delibird will be his key Pokemon during this fight. If he can make them stronger, Ash will certainly win his rematch against Brock. He then asks him if he wants him to be a sparring partner. Ash excitedly says yes, but quickly questions why he's so willing to help him. Flint refuses to answer Ash right away, instead he leads Ash to Brock's house, where he explains Brock's family situation, and although Ash feels empathy for him, he wants to know what this has to do with anything. Flint just says that Brock seems to have given up on a dream, and he wants a great trainer to remind him of that dream. Ash states that he will defeat Brock for the badge and his dream, so all night Ash trains his Pokemon against Flint's Stonejourner. The next day, Ash returns to the pewter gym with confidence. Brock begins with Rockruff and Ash sends in Budew. While this isn't an easy fight for Budew, it manages to win with its newly learned move, Bullet Seed. When Boulder comes out, Budew manages to land a single Razor Leaf before being taken out, forcing Ash to send in Delibird, who begins by using Present, which doesn't deal much to the rock type. Boulder then retaliates with a Power Gem that hits for a major damage, but then Delibird attacks with its Triple Axle. They go back and forth for a bit, just like in the original. Brock's siblings stop Ash before he can deal the final blow. We then have Brock join the group while Flint stays behind as Pewter City's new gym leader. Not too long after that, they arrive at Mount Moon and the gang run into Team Rocket again. It's revealed that Brock caught a Litleo at the entrance of the cave, and Misty, instead of a Staryu, has a Shellos. Other than that, nothing really changes here as they approach Cerulean City. And that's where we're going to be leaving it off for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know I had fun writing it, and as you could see, I was trying to make it slightly different from Ash's original story. That way it's not a one-to-one from Ash's original story. I know a lot of people are going to be very unhappy with those rules I set, but I did want to keep some consistency from the anime. Like, I didn't want Brock, the rock type gym leader, to just pull out a freaking Kyogre out of nowhere. Like, if this was a game, sure, it's fine, because that would be hilarious. But like, story-wise, especially with Ash just beginning his freaking journey, Ash would never make it past that Kyogre, therefore he would never get that first badge. Hoenn is when Ash is a bit more experienced, so maybe he has a chance, but that's a really big maybe. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I sure did. Remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.